hear it, but you can see the water right down in there. How nice is that? Hey everyone, welcome to Soulfish. I am super duper glad you're here. I am hanging on a tree branch. Holy moly. Hang tight with me. Hang tight. Oh, okay. Well, it's good to see you. It's been a little bit of a time. Wow, this energy, huh? I don't know that this is gonna work or not. I think I'm gonna have to set this thing up differently. Hang on a second. Oh, let's get you straightened. Let's straighten you out. Okay. All right, so standing on the edge of a cliff here. This worked out better, so now you're not swinging with me. We're all grounded together in this time, right? Holy moly. Let's talk about what's happened at the beginning part of this year, right? So, recap. Last year we had the ending of book 1. We had this transition time. Remember that? Where you felt stagnant. Everything had kind of closed out here or was closing out, and then all of a sudden we had this kind of stagnant time, this kind of in-between time while things readjusted. And then beginning of the year we started this new book, a new completely different story. And so what's manifested for a lot of us, the theme over the last several weeks, and we'll get to some energy stuff too, but the theme, man, has been, wow, really about dropping the stuff from the old story. And I mean that not in some figurative woo-woo way. I mean that in a real sense, like vibration-wise. You can't coexist. It's like these old patterns, these old ways, you know, we've been challenged with how are we supposed to kind of drop those things. And so we're willing to, we've been willing and open, but sometimes it leaves us feeling challenged and like a void because we don't necessarily have the tools we think we need to solve the problem, right? Or to move it forward or to try it a different way. We're just not equipped in some fashion, right? That's how we feel. And so in that feeling becomes a lot of discomfort. And so for the folks that, you know, for my tribe here, it's been a time, right? It's been a time of real challenge and dis-ease in a way that I think has been stretching us, has been helping us to relieve this, like almost like kneading out the lumps in the dough, right? That's really kind of how I feel about for this new story. Okay, and then the second challenge in this time that I think we've been facing is the differences, is the thoughts that we wouldn't be here, like here, right now at this time. Like we never would consider doing this or consider doing that or be involved again in this or try this again, right? Do you remember like all of this kind of repetitive stuff? And it's been very interesting. And again, another theme of being open and letting go. And in doing so is funny because some of the things that you wouldn't consider, you're considering. Some of the things that you wouldn't do again, you're going to do again or are doing again, right? So it's that time, and that's this time too, because it's a new story. You can't have a new story and be doing the same things you were doing with the same people you were doing it with in the same place, same way, same manner, same attitude, same perception, right? Same spirituality. You're not the same guy anymore. You have grown. This is a new story. This is something completely different. And so you get to take all the stuff you learned, you get to take the good and the bad, and hopefully you've dispelled a lot of the bad at this point, right? But you get to take it all with you. But the key part is not letting knowledge of what happened before prevent you from trying something new again, because it's a different time, different place, you're a different person. So it's not all the same math. And so even though the event, the thing is the same in your mind, it's really not, because everything around that event has shifted, which means that event can't be the same. Make sense? So here we are. It's the beginning of April, and we have a new moon today. And that's an energy of rebirth. That's an energy of starts. That's an energy of new beginnings. And it's a natural energy. It's an organic energy. And I want you to think about that. And so it's also an energy that's disruptive, because it's a water energy. It's an emotional energy. It helps to shake things up too, bring things out to the surface when it's necessary, and this time is no different. But this is a new moon, and in a new moon time allows you to focus on things that you want. It's a time where you can focus on abundance of love, abundance of goodwill, good intent. Focus on those things, abundance of wisdom, abundance of patience, abundance of understanding. Vibe those things. Don't vibe abundance of money, because when you do that, you come from lack, and you'll repeat that. It's a different intent. It automatically becomes something different when you start to add in those kind of components to it. If you were wise and had understanding and in harmony with your environment, the income would come, because it would be part of that environment. In other words, not income for income's sake, but income as a form of abundance to you, so that you could fund your ideas, fund your lifestyle, whatever that is. And so, that feeling of lack, and that's a big one. Money, career stuff is a big one for people with, and holds them down. It's almost like it's another weight on top of your shoulders that you're marching through the day on, that you somehow have to lift yourself up and over. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so this is part of your new story. So I want you to understand that may mean that you want to consider some new job opportunities. You want to consider new things that you wouldn't have considered before, because you did it 5 or 10 years ago and it wasn't the bestest experience for you. And now you're saying, hey, I could really do this, or I'm being, you're kind of feeling this vibe, and then you're like, yeah, but I did that before, and I don't want to repeat that. Well, of course you don't, but because you have that awareness, you won't. But you're also not the same person. It's not the same time, the same things we've repeated. And so you might want to consider that. This is this time of that. I'm sure it's tied up in energy of spring. I'm sure it's tied up in some of that. But it's really, to me, and what I feel empathically, what I feel and called, is something like another layer on top of it. Something really greater than that, as far as an energy, force that's compelling us. And so I'm throwing this at you to say, be in harmony with that. And so that's going to bring some challenges, some uncomfortableness, maybe you outside your comfort zone, or maybe you having to, pride's the wrong word, but you know how you get stuck on an idea, like you're fixated on it, and even though it's probably not the right solution for something, it's almost like you just can't get that, that setup out of your mind. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like that. It's that feeling, and I'm saying to you, you've got to drop that feeling so that you can live this new story fully. You're going to anyway, but I'm suggesting that you do it in a way of harmony, and that maybe the universe is in a loving way, in a grace-given way, helping you to say, hey man, try this, with some kid gloves, so try this and see if this works out for you. So this is this new moon energy I want you to be thinking about, and see if you can't kind of work with, and see if that doesn't help bring things along for you. So, that's just one aspect, I guess, of what's happening here this month. Let's talk about this month. We had the recap of what's happened up until now, and then you're saying, well, what is culminating now? How is this really shifting? Because I know for my energy sensitive pals, you can feel a real shift in the energy. You can start to see that things are moving in some ways. And really for the people I'm working with, you can see how things are opening up for them. And it's really, I think, a practice of how they've been dropping off that book one stuff that, you know, you just can't vibe with. And I've been going through it. Everybody I know has been going through it. And then even for, you know, my non-energy sensitive friends, just, you know, those guys are, you know, still experiencing stuff. They're just not necessarily aware of, you know, of the transmission and also the feeling it evokes in you necessarily, but they're still responding to this energy. And that's why, you know, even from what I feel, from what I'm shown, what I'm seeing, you can see it manifesting and expressing itself in different ways and through different people, you know, who are quote unquote awake and not. You know, you can see this, that this energy is a bigger force. It's not just this impulsive spring energy. It's not just that. It's something bigger and greater that's been building up. And I think that we all see that. So in April, we're going to continue to see this, but it does mellow out for us a little bit in another week or so. And you're going to start to kind of integrate what it is that's been occurring. But we've already been kind of, you know, we were kind of at this, and then through, you know, I feel like over the last, you know, week or so, it's kind of dropped down a notch, you know, maybe another less of 1,000 RPMs for us. And we're able to kind of, you know, you still have some tension, you know, there's still some tension there, but maybe the wind isn't blowing so hard on you like a hurricane kind of a thing, because it really was kind of like a, I know it's for me, man, I feel like a piece of garlic being, you know, in a garlic press, right? And that they'd gotten all the, you know, spirit got all the mushy stuff out, but man, the skin was left, and it was like they were trying to force that skin right through there too, man, instead of just opening that thing up and tossing it. You know, I was getting, it was all of me getting squeezed. And, you know, as you know, we moved from a desert climate to a mountainous climate that's been amazing, and, you know, another few thousand feet higher, which is amazing energetically, and the people have been great and welcoming. And I mean, you can see the beautifulness behind us. I mean, I'm 7 hours away from the desert still, which is nice, so we can get there. But man, you hear the water. I mean, it's right there, right behind me, and it's nice. And Nance and I are hiking in some rocks, and we have trees around us, and things are green and blue, and it's a neat transition from our previous explorations, you know. And it feels good, and it feels good to be landed, and so it feels good to breathe some different air and feel some different energy, and recognize maybe some different power spots. And you know, and as I'm called to travel right now and to see these places and to experience and to reach out and to kind of, you know, do our outreach, I guess, is you know, it's really been an amazing experience. But it's this last transition, I have to tell you, has been really tough, and tough in ways that I didn't expect. And on the inside out, on the wow, having to let go of a lot of preconceived notions, or having to let go of maybe what I thought I wanted. And then once I was shown, I realized that, man, I really wanted that more, but I never would have considered it because I was so kind of fixated on this picture over here, that kind of stuff. So, you know, I'm sharing all of this with you, and I know what flows through me are you know, are really ways to be in harmony, so that you're not in this alone. You know, your spiritual path is a lonely path, but you can do it in parallel with people, so you're not alone. It's lonely, but it doesn't. You don't have to be alone. You know, spirit is there with you too. You're always looked after with guides and all sorts of things. You know, I've said, you know, our souls must be special indeed, right? That so much happens on our behalf for that. And think about that. It doesn't really matter your upbringing, what your religious exposure was. There's a, you know, think about it like as a general universal truth, right? Like there is something that, you know, we must be so special. We, the soul, not this, definitely not this, but the soul, right? Like it's got to be something so special for so much to be centered around it, and centered around its disposition, centered around what happens to it, centered around where it exists. Is it in a dark place, or is it in a light place? Think about that. So, not to get off tangent, I guess I'm So back to April energy. What I want you to think about in this April energy time is exposure to opportunity. I want you to be thinking about exposure to opportunity. I want you to try to say yes. I want you to, even at things you thought you would say no to, not stupid things, but realistically, yes to as much as you can try and see. And even if 50% is still as you remembered it, or you learn that you don't like that either because it's something new, whatever, it's yes, try it. And then you know. But what's cool about it is it's not so much whether you really liked that or not, it's the spirit you're developing in yourself to be open. In other words, to learn to empty that cup. Because where our problem exists, I think mostly, is that we learn and we grow and then it starts to become somehow solid in us or something. And so where we started with this cup like this, then somehow, we fill it up and then this part gets solid and we're able to dump out this part, but somehow this is becomes concrete at the bottom and it weighs us down. And I really think that's what you're going to be experiencing, have been experiencing, and will continue to experience for the next couple of months. But it's a washing out in April, particularly, of some of that sediment at the bottom. So I want you to think like that: is how could you say yes in big and small ways? It's not, you don't have to do anything dramatic, but I think it's you building practice on the spirit. You're exercising that yes muscle for a change. And I think that's so, so important. So that's my recommendation. That's my, sharing for you for this month as far as energy and what's happening here. I wish you much, much, much success. And until next time, much love.